What is up everybody, I'm Fox at Foxy Games UK, your regular aggregate source of news, rumour and video game discussion. If you are interested in the latest game news and rumour with an emphasis on PlayStation but spanning a variety of platforms, follow me via Twitter at FoxyGames_UK. All relevant links can be found in this video's description. In our first game news and talking points, since it was first announced at 2015 Paris Games Week, Polyphony Digital has been showing us how Gran Turismo Sport will potentially revolutionise online esports racing and let you take ridiculously pretty pictures of cars in the new photo mode. But what if you're not interested in playing Gran Turismo Sport online? Well, a new 8-minute video has surfaced outlining what we can expect from Gran Turismo Sport's single player portion. And it's just as limited as feared. Instead of offering a traditional car collecting experience like previous games in the series, Gran Turismo Sport's single player campaign will contain 4 modes with 150 bite-sized drills to complete: drive-in school, mission challenge, circuit experience and racing etiquette. As the name implies, driving school teaches you basic driving techniques, while mission challenge contains driving challenges in specific cars that have you racing against the clock or the AI, similar to Gran Turismo PSP's driving challenges. For example, the video shows an overtake challenge where you have to pass 3 cars without hitting them or straying off the track. Now, circuit experience teaches you the optimum racing lines and braking points of each circuit in tutorial videos before unleashing you onto the track to set times at each segment before tackling a full lap. And finally, racing etiquette includes guides and tests on signals, flags, safety car protocols, cautions and proper driving conduct and etiquette for online racing. Completing campaign events will unlock additional cars and earn players an FIA digital license, which is required to participate in online races. Now, it's obvious that the campaign is designed as a tutorial to prepare you for online racing, which is clearly how Gran Turismo Sport is primarily designed to be played. Now, if you're looking for a deep, involving and rewarding single player campaign, Project Cars 2 and Forza Motorsport 7 will offer far more comprehensive career modes. But at this rate, we can't help question, but if Gran Turismo Sport is going to be worth the 4-year wait since Gran Turismo 6, when its competition has significantly more content, how will this affect people's opinion of the game? Well, here's my take on the whole thing. I think a lot of people who have been following me on this channel know that I'm more of a single player kind of guy than a multiplayer person, and I for one really enjoyed the single player component of past Gran Turismo games. So if this is just going to be some kind of comprehensive tutorial, bloated tutorial, then you can count me out. I don't care how pretty the graphics look, how wonderful it looks on PS4 Pro on a 4K screen. I don't care about the cars on offer, I just don't care. All I care about is a rewarding single player experience, and unfortunately, judging by this 8-minute video, that is not what Polyphony Digital are offering. So it looks like I'll just have to stick with the third-party races on PS4 or get Forza Motorsport 7 for the Xbox One S. Share your thoughts about how you feel on this in the video comments. In other news, the uproar over Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor has been a major talking point these past few days, but XboxEnthusiast.com thinks Shadow of War's microtransactions are perfect, and basically people need to stop complaining about it. Well, look, before we go in on them, let's give them a chance to explain themselves. So here's the full article verbatim, then I'll give my own opinion on the matter. So, Middle-earth Shadow of War is going to have microtransactions. We were made aware of this last week in a blog post and live stream by the game's developer Monolith, where they explained how the system would work, and it was all detailed. The setup and everything is going to be explained to you right here. So some people automatically have a gut-wrenching reaction to microtransactions, understandably due to their poor implementations in the past by certain companies. In fact, things got so bad with microtransactions and DLC that Electronic Arts was rated the worst in America 2 years in a row. Now, this was based on how the system was implemented and how it hurt players, rather than disgust at its actual existence. Now, some players are against microtransactions. I'm one of them, and this is illogical according to xboxenthusiast.com, because there's no reason to be against something that doesn't hurt the game or provide an advantage to anyone. Now, proper implementation is the key, since microtransactions usually require purchase with real currency. So what's the problem if a company utilizes real cash microtransactions in a way that doesn't hurt anyone or provide an advantage to anyone else? Monolith and Warner Brothers, the game's publisher, seem to have figured out the right way to do this with Shadow of War, and it becomes obvious once you get past the knee-jerk virtue signaling reaction to the dreaded word microtransaction. Now, to recap, Shadow of War will have two forms of currency: Mirian, which is in-game currency, and gold, which is your real money. Now, every single item available with gold will be available to acquire in-game. These will include gear and armor loot chests with varying levels of items, war chests with orc followers, XP boosts and bundles. Now, Xbox enthusiasts have said that they've played every aspect of Shadow of Mordor and have 100% of the achievements, including the DLC packs, but the favourite part was leveling up on their own side of the story and figuring out how to best dominate the orcs. While they enjoyed it, others may not be so inclined to grind for that better piece of gear, a la Destiny. This is a personal preference, and it has literally zero effect on others playing, since Shadow of War is strictly a single player game. Look at it this way: it was exciting to see how big Shadow of War was, and planned on going for 100% completion before the announcement of the microtransactions. Therefore, these loot crates don't have any negative impact on the Xbox enthusiast article writer or the game. Ipso facto, why should I care? Who am I to judge if another player decides to spend a couple of bucks in order to unlock a legendary set of gear in his own self-contained game? Some players may not want to finish the whole game, but maybe not have enough time due to a variety of personal reasons. So in this case, making a small purchase or two may remove some of that time restraints and constraints and let them play more, which in turn provides further enjoyment. Others may not care at all and just want to beat it as fast as they can for a YouTube channel. If so, who cares? Now, I'll admit that adding the option to purchase orc followers to the market was a bit odd. Leveling up in Shadow of Mordor was necessary, as it helped you dominate orcs faster and more efficiently. This opened up more options in completing missions and allowed for more creativity to your approach. Now, Xbox enthusiast, the writer, is saying that they won't buy any of the orcs as it takes away from the experience that they want out of the game. But that being said, they still couldn't care less if you want to drop $100 on the best gear out of the gate, because there is no multiplayer and you have no advantage over them. It's illogical for me to be upset at you for doing something that I could have done but chose not to. Now, the other complaint is that it requires an always online internet connection. This is where context needs to come into play, because it's not completely true. You see, the game itself does not require an internet connection. Shadow of War is a single player only game that can be played completely offline should you choose. The only thing that would require the internet is if you choose to purchase gold with real money, and you would need to be rerouted to the Xbox store or PlayStation network to do so, or connect to the internet if you downloaded it from your PC or mobile phone. But here's the beauty with the setup: it automatically cancels out arguments on both sides of the microtransactions debate. It doesn't affect you if you don't plan on purchasing anything with real money, since the game doesn't require an internet connection. On the other side, you can't have your cake and eat it too if you do plan on making real money purchases. After all, you're biting the hand that feeds you if you are trying to make an online purchase to help you gain an advantage in a game, but then complain about the manner in which you're required to get that advantage. It's like getting mad at someone for accusing you of lying when you were lying and don't have a leg to stand on. Those who are going to be the angriest about microtransactions are not going to buy them. So why do you care if you're not going to buy them? They don't impact your game negatively, and they don't provide an advantage to anyone else over you. There's no logical answer in the affirmative to this. If one's answer is that simply does not think microtransactions should be in games at all, then I have bad news for you. This is the beauty of a free market economy. They are not going anywhere, and as they are clearly a viable option, allow more enjoyable outcomes for players and increase revenue for developers. This extra income allows developers to make better games in the future. Can't argue with that. Now, Now, it's fine if one does not purchase real money transactions. Nobody is forcing you. This is another beauty of a free market economy. And on the other side, the increased revenue stream for those players who do make real money purchases only increases the future enjoyment of the players who don't. Think about it. Why be mad at someone for spending their real money on a fake game or something that doesn't affect you, only to help them beat the game a little bit easier? They're wasting their own money so you can get a better game in the future. You should be thanking them. Furthermore, you can't be mad at someone for trying to make the most amount of money they can, so long as it doesn't negatively affect anyone. There are games that have messed up microtransactions in the past, don't get me wrong. That's why some players get butthurt at the mere mention of the word, and a logical person doesn't use the exception to prove the rule. It's the same reason why the NFL teams tried to get a first round quarterback. They know waiting in 6th round, because that's where Tom Brady was picked, is a needle in a haystack situation. It's important to look at things logically when it comes to context, microtransactions, and which are a commodity which require context. So whether or not you like microtransactions is irrelevant. What is relevant is that Monolith did their homework and integrated them into Middle-earth Shadow of War the best way possible without harming a single player. All developers should follow this model in the future when they choose to use microtransactions. Bottom line is there's no logical reason to be mad about the manner in which microtransactions are implemented in Middle-earth Shadow of War, and people need to pump the brakes with the anger. Middle-earth Shadow of War releases on October 10th, 2017. Well, right off the bat, the writer makes some very valid points about the implementation of microtransactions and how Monolith really done their homework. They studied the whole economy to see how they could do it and be fair, and it's not connected to the internet in terms of multiplayer, so there is no advantage. However, the idea of microtransactions, DLC and expansion packs that actually could have been included in the game on disc or initial release annoys the hell out of me. I don't know about you, but I cannot stand the idea of paying all this extra money to have a complete game. I don't like it. I'm an old school gamer way back from the cartridge days of consoles, and everything was already on the cartridge. To me, the worst thing that happened to consoles was getting these hard drives and having to install games before you can play them, because it's not instant anymore. That is gone. Albeit it's a lot better than the PS3. You could actually be waiting several hours to play a game on that console with all the installing and updates that go on. Anyway, I digress. So I'm against microtransactions, full stop. But I'm not against the way this article was presented, and there's some logical arguments there that I have to agree with. Otherwise I'm just being a hater and salty, and I'm not. Okay? Anyway, finally, by the way, let me know in the comments what your interpretation of that article is and how you feel about microtransactions. Moving on, finally, how Microsoft can make Xbox One X more appealing. Now, a couple of months ago at the Electronic Entertainment Expo, that's E3, Microsoft officially introduced its Xbox One X console, the next step in the evolution of its video game hardware. Some of the tech demos were very impressive for the system, particularly Forza Motorsport 7, which is something else, but Microsoft didn't exactly spill the beans when it comes to system support. For that matter, it also disclosed a rather high price for the system, $499 US, clocking it at much higher than the $399 PS4 Pro, and that left a bitter taste in some mouths, despite the fact that around the same price that the original Xbox One started out at. Granted, it had a Kinect packed in, a Kinect that nobody wanted, but hey. So now the reception for the system isn't quite as exciting as it could be, mainly because A, gamers don't have a full-on idea of what the experience of an Xbox One X will bring, and B, the price. So what can Microsoft do to turn around its misfortunes and get people thrilled with what the system has to offer? Now, the writer of this article has made a suggestion, or rather comical suggestion, that perhaps Larry Major Nelson Herb should be here to listen, but I digress. Now, the problem with a premium price for a console that, well, it's premium price, and when there's a cheaper option available, even if it's not entirely 4K, most people will take it just because they're crunched for cash. What Microsoft could do is introduce a neat little package Well, really to entice more people into paying the high-end cost for the Xbox One X, should it succeed. Now, for instance, why not introduce a special limited edition set of bundles with games that actually take advantage of the hardware? Now, Crackdown 3 is coming out the same day as the system, so why not create a specifically designed system which has matching decor and controller, and I'm pretty sure that some racing fans would be stoked to own Forza Motorsport 7 Xbox One X styled system, complete with the custom racing effects like Forza 6 Xbox One's bundle and a neat coat of polish. Now, the black system looks good, it does, but people like varying options, and Microsoft knows this based on the bundles it's put together in the past. It needs to do the same for the Xbox One X. Now, some people are wondering why they need to upgrade to an Xbox One X when they already have an Xbox One that gets the job done. With that, Microsoft should introduce something to the table that makes it a sweeter deal for would-be consumers, an incentive. The company has hosted trade-in programs in the past, and it's my understanding that they are preparing one for the Xbox One X, but nothing's official yet. But it really could bring people into the hardware, and even you could trade in competitors' hardware, so why can't they do it again? Offer up a pretty penny for trade-ins of the Xbox One and PS4, and hey, maybe even a Nintendo Switch if someone's desperate enough to get rid of one, so they can take home an Xbox One X at a much cheaper price. Now, not everyone will go for it, but a select few may be tempted to jump, and that will add to the overall install base. Now, were the tech demos that were shown off at Microsoft's E3 presentation any good? Arguably yes, but that's all we've seen from the system for the most part since its official unveiling, and that does get people a bit excited, but some people are a bit worried also. Now, what Microsoft should do is introduce a series of video programs that highlight what games can be upgraded with the hardware and in what ways. Give more information than Sony did with the PS4 Pro enhancements. I know Forza Motorsport 7 would be an absolutely ideal situation for this, but it wouldn't hurt to highlight older games as well, such as Gears of War 4 and Forza Horizon 3, to see what the hardware can do when it comes to improving their performance as well. Now, Microsoft is in a keen position to convince people that the Xbox One X is the next big thing. Now, it just needs to do it and show us how much better games can be. Microsoft has a prime opportunity to build some excitement with the Xbox One X, get those hype levels going, but it's kind of missing out on the key component to do it with, and that's the community. The community has largely turned their backs on Microsoft, with all but the most hardcore of the Xbox community hanging in there. It has a pretty large community of its own right, with millions of players enjoying the heck out of Gears of War 4 and Halo 5 Guardians and Forza Horizon 3 and so forth. But it may cost them a bit at first. Microsoft needs to hook up with these influencers and members of the media with early hardware and start building the hype within the community itself. Give several units away and have them flock to the Mixer, which by the way is a Microsoft owned service that could benefit in its own right, so they can showcase just what the system is capable of, so the public has a better idea of what to expect. These people are already thrilled with games as it is, so pushing the Xbox One X in that way would only make things even better for it. Now, the PS4 Pro only got a handful of commercials and videos to showcase its hardware when it released last year, and that didn't do much good for Sony. It had the resources to really push it to the next level, and that's exactly what Microsoft needs to do with the Xbox One X. Get out commercials that show off the potential of the hardware with actual gameplay. Take to social channels and present videos to the community so they can see what it's capable of, host giveaways, set up store promotions and midnight openings. Make it a grandiose affair. Now, it will cost a fair packet, but the user base is important and it will build up, and surprise, the Xbox One X can turn around its misfortunes and become one of the most highest grossing, best-selling holiday consoles this year, even at that premium price. The Xbox One X launches on November 7th for $499 US. Now, do you agree with the writer of this article? My opinion is that Microsoft really should do everything they can to get this system on everybody's mind, not just the hardcore, but also those who are casual, who have that extra money, that maybe haven't even bought a current generation console yet. Maybe they're still on Xbox 360, PS3, Nintendo Wii U, who knows what they're on, and maybe eyeing up gaming now. So, Microsoft could really target that demographic and their own, obviously, die-hard, hardcore audience. yeah, I think Microsoft really needs to get a move on, get those pre-orders out there, get them up and running, commercials everywhere, billboards, everything, because Microsoft are only going to have the most powerful console for maybe a year or two. I won't say a year, maybe 2 years, 2.5 years. It's not an awful long time to get out of your $500 when a more powerful system, aka the PS5, is, you know, waiting in the wings. There's already talk of a PS5, which is alarming to some degree, seeing as we just got the PS4 Pro, but it's also encouraging that Sony are really going for a full-on next generation. So Microsoft need to do everything they can and take advantage of the next 2.5 to 3 years. That's my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments. And that brings us to the end of another video. Be sure to share your thoughts in the video comments, and as usual, if you found any of the information in this video at all useful, go ahead and hit the like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe and share the video. You can also help us grow by supporting us via Patreon, starting from just $1. You'll find the link in this video's description. As I always say at the end of each video, play games, not corporations. Thanks for watching, everybody.